Oh yes, it's time for us to have a look in our first hour at Wimmera football. And Scotty Stewart from the Warwick Herald is the travelling man, and he's with us now. G'day, Scotty. How are you?
Yeah, I'm going well, thanks, Wayne.
Good to talk to you this week. Last week, your Warwick Eagles got home 12-7, 79-0, 8-6-54. A pretty good win over at Davis Park at nil.
Yeah, they got in the last quarter from what I hear, and from the game last week, pretty tight in some wet conditions I see from the Davis Park last weekend. But turned it on in the last quarter. I think they kicked a speed of about 4 goals in a row and really broke the game open. There was only a point of difference early in that last quarter. So Ryan McKenzie might have helped out a bit there. I think he ended up with 4 goals for the day, and he got a couple of those in that last quarter, and broke the game open and ensured that win for the Eagles.
Yeah, it's a good win too, because just this time of year we're starting to sort of wind down now for the sides that won't make the finals, and both of these sides are in that category. Cole Cheney, he's travelled back home and done a great job, was best player. Jake O'Donnell and Ryan, as you said, kicked 4. Matty Johns and Jake O'Donnell both added 2. 3 to Liam Albrecht, the captain, and he was their best player for the Nil Tigers, throwing himself at everything. Other matches, Dimmy signed themselves up a finals berth by beating Horsham Saints 19-17 to 10-9. Yeah,
basically what we've been talking about the last couple of weeks with the Roos. They have basically showed that finals position up now, haven't they, with a couple of rounds to go. But they made the fight pretty hard last week for a start there. High score in first quarter. It must have been a bit of a free-for-all going on there, but the Dimmy boys looked like after quarter time there just sort of took control, 5 goals in the second, and finishing with a good barrage of 6 in the last to probably blow the margin out a fair bit, but lift themselves into fourth spot, and they can pretty well prepare for their elimination final berth, whoever it's going to be against in a couple of weeks' time.
Certainly can. Minyip-Matoa, it won't be them because they took on Ararat. Ararat won the match to get top spot on the ladder, 19-64 to Minyip-Matoa, 7-12-54 at Minyip. So you mentioned last week Minyip's a big ground like the Ararat ground, and it just might well have favoured the visitors.
Yeah, well, that's right. Alexander Oval, it's probably the biggest in the league, but Minyip is right behind it in regards to size, and they must have just enjoyed the wide open space again and sort of spotted a bit of it was a Minyip premiership again, and celebrating the 3-peat of premierships there last weekend. So we're meeting up, but Ararat opened up pretty well in that first quarter, and if you look at the end result of 10 points, a 3-goal buffer at quarter time was basically what was needed to grab that 4 points. And as you said there, tie up top spot, so they will be playing the minor premiership in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, they got that. Tell you what though, Southern Valley Giants, magnificent 12-9-81 to beat Stawell 9-9-63, and they've kept their season alive.
Yeah, they have. I think what I said last week, it's going to be a danger game for the Giants, because the way Stawell has been performing over a long period of time, and the Giants, they're battling to get that 5th spot, but went a long way last week to ensuring that 5th spot, and you'd nearly think they'd be pretty good bet to grab that last final spot now. But some more reports, from what I hear, produced some of their best footy in that third quarter last week, with a pretty tight first half, only about 8 points separating the two sides, but then come out and kick 7 goals to 1 in that third quarter, and they've just blown the game apart to take out their win, which is so important for them, and going forward these last couple of weeks. Yeah, really, it's so important for their top 5 chances.
It is. Having a look at what is important for that is this week's matches. Horsham D's, they're the only side, I think, now that can be displaced if the Southern Valley Giants are to take 5th. They play Ararat, the top side, on that giant Alexander Oval. If there was some Ducks and Drakes being played here, Ararat that could play them, but I don't reckon they will. I think they'd much rather a Southern Valley Giants in the finals than a D's. I reckon they'll knock them over.
Yeah, well, Barrack can basically do what they like at the minute, can't they? They're sitting pretty in top spot. 2 games clear. They return home to their home ground. This is massive for Horsham, though, isn't it? We've spoken about this the last couple of weeks with Horsham's tough run home in the last 2 weeks, and after this weekend, I'm thinking the Giants will be in 5th position. I'm thinking the Horsham Demons will be in 6th with Rat claiming the points in the first part of that equation.
Yeah. Warwick Eagles get the Saints. Both won't make finals at Anzac Park. Is there a queue in the rack for the Eagles? Are there travellers coming? And will the Saints be an opposition that the Eagles can get a win late in the season?
No, the Eagles boys will be pushing hard for this one. If they can get the 4 points, they'll join the Saints on equal points. A bit of percentage will be separating the 2 sides. But the Eagles have, I don't know if you call it, suffered a blow, but we spoke about Ryan McKenzie there last week, kicking 4 goals and they're having a great season. Unavailable this week, so there's a big hole for the Eagles to fill there. But Danny Bell, he's still putting the onus on the young kids, and Matty Jantz, who returned last week from Adelaide with Kyle Cheney, and they're back in again this weekend, and they return home to Anzac Park for this game against the Saints. So they like their chances, but the Saints coming off that loss to Dimboola last week, they'll be keen to bite back and claim. Well, it'll be what's that about 7th position on the ladder, and maintain a buffer on the Eagles. But it'll be a good game. I think it's going to be played in wet conditions from all reports, and should be another battle in the wet, I think.
Oh, it should be a battle. What about this? Stall play Matoa. They will play each other in a qualifying final in a couple of weeks' time. So this is an important one for both sides.
For both, and to say that they're not going to be displaced in second and third. It really doesn't matter which way, but she's all psychological, I suppose, with this result, as which way it does go. Stall, if they win, they will take second because they've got a better percentage than the Boroughs. And I see in the lineups that Tanner Smith is another out again for this week for the Boroughs. So they'll miss him against Stall, who will be pretty keen to bounce back after last week's loss to the Giants. But it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back, because we spoke about it there last week, how they've been up for a couple of months, haven't they? And had put that really good winning streak together, but got broken last week by the Giants. So it'll be interesting to see if the Stall boys can not make it successive losses and bounce back which will be a pretty tough game against the both. Being at Central Park, though, will help them. Definitely. So they probably would start a slight favourite with home ground advantage.
Yeah, and it'd be wet. And Matoa, how will they perform in those conditions? Southern Mallee Giants at home at Hopetoun. I won't mind it if it's wet up there. The Farmers are looking for a bit of crop moisture around the place. Nil is the opposition. They need to win it firstly, and they need to get some form into their players. They've been in good form, I might add. Sam Bromley Lynch comes into the side. Sam Waddell goes out. They're probably the big change for what's happening in a couple of other ins and outs too. But I did notice Bubba Lehman is back in the lineup for the Southern Mallee Giants.
Yeah, right, yeah. The Giants, we call this a little bit of redemption after what happened earlier in the season when the Nil boys knocked them over there at Davis Park when the Giants were going through a little bit of a lull in form. So I think the Giants will be pretty keen to wrap this game up pretty well, and as I say, this will be the second part of that equation with the Horsham Demons. So if our can do the job that they are probably expected to do, then the Giants claim these 4 points and they'll jump into the top 5. Sam Waddell will be a bit of a loss to them for this week, but I imagine he'll be back and ready and raring to go for the rest of the season. So I think the Giants will be pretty well home and host with in a pretty commanding win on this one, I think.
All right, it's a big weekend of Wimmera footy, and it's going to be a good one at Anzac Park for the Warwick Eagles and your boys across the grades. Good football starting early in the day against the Horsham Saints, who always have a lot of juniors in their makeup. We'll talk to you next week and catch up with the Wimmera football. Thanks for joining us, Scotty Stewart.
Yeah, no worries. No, you won't.